Hi, and thanks for watching another instructional video for CSCI 1300. In this video, we will walk through a problem from start to finish to decide how to start a problem, identify inputs, and predict our expected outputs from this problem. So we need to identify what are we going to throw into this problem, which will be our inputs, and what do we expect out of this problem, which will be our outputs. Based on the prompt before you, you are asked to write a program for a stamp vending machine. The machine asks for the number of stamps the user wishes to purchase, then computes the price of the sale, including sales tax, and displays the cost back to the user of the vending machine. The current sales tax in Colorado is 2.9%, and the current cost of a stamp is 50 cents per stamp. Based on this information, we're going to have to write a piece of code to simulate the vending machine operation. So the first thing we should do is we should look for what are the inputs that we will probably be using to set up this problem. Well, it says here that the machine asks for the number of stamps the user wishes to purchase. So it looks like the number of stamps is our input value, then computes the price of the sale including sales tax, and displays the cost back to the user. So it looks like the price of the sale, including sales tax, will be the output for the total cost. We're also given some extra additional information in this last line. We are given that the current sales tax in Colorado is 2.9%, and we also know that the cost of a stamp individually is 50 cents. Both of which are givens or constants that we can use to factor into our output. So given this information, and after identifying our input and our output and any constant values, let's jump into Visual Studio and work on developing some code to explain this problem. So we know that we need to ask the user for how many stamps they wish to purchase. So we're going to have to keep track of some number of stamps, which should be a whole value. So we're not going to have half a stamp, so this should be an integer. And we also know that we're going to deal with the cost per stamp. And this was given to us, so it's given to us as a decimal value, 50 cents. So we're going to use that amount. And we were also given another piece of information, which was the sales tax for each transaction. In Colorado, it's 2.9%, so that should equal to 0.029 in decimal. And at this point, we should probably ask the user for the number of stamps that they wish to purchase. So I'm going to ask that now. Enter the number of stamps you wish to purchase. And I'm not going to use an inline here because I want to generate this information on the same line. So I'm going to use cin and store the user input in the numStamps variable. And now that I have the number of stamps, I can probably come up with a total amount or a total cost for the stamps based on the price per stamp. So I'll have to take the number of stamps and I'll have to multiply it by the cost per stamp to get some kind of a total. And I also have to deal with taxes, which will be a floating point number as well. So I'm going to set the tax amount to be the total. I'm going to have to use total since we just calculated it. And I'm going to have to use the sales tax to come up with some fraction of the total. And now I'm going to have to update the total because the total should be, the total value of the entire cost should be the total price plus the tax amount that we have just calculated. And then I think we need to say what we actually are giving to the user. So the cost of the number of stamps that you are purchasing is, and we're going to give the amount, which should be totals stored in the variable total. And now that we've done that, one other thing I should take into account is that we are dealing with floating point values and we want to output dollars and cents. Well, cents are usually never seen beyond 2 decimal places. They never represented beyond 2 decimal places. So I should probably round to 2 decimal places. So that means that I should include IO manipulation at the top of my program. And before my output line, I am going to add a call to the set precision function. And it takes an argument in its parentheses, which should be the number of decimal places we want to set this to. And I'm going to pass in a 2 so that we have 2 decimal places for dollars and cents. And at this point, I think we are good, so let's go ahead and try and compile. And no errors, so let's see what we get. Enter the number of stamps you wish to purchase. Let's enter 12 stamps. The cost of 12 is $6.17. That looks like it checks out. Let's try testing one stamp. One stamp is 51 cents. That looks like it would come out correct as well. So, of course, you can always go back and double check your answers, your output, by doing these calculations on paper. But everything looks like it's coming out correctly, so I'm going to end the video here. Thanks again for watching, and happy coding!